welcome, Ark here, and in this week's episode we're looking at the moss stitch. Now it can be worked over a odd number of stitches or an even number of stitches. Working the pattern over an odd number of stitches means it becomes a one row repeat. Working the moss stitch on a even number, that now becomes a two row repeat. And all you really need to know to work this stitch is the knit stitch and the purl stitch, and I shall talk you through the rest of it. So, with all that said, let's get crafting. Right, first of all, we'll go with the odd number because this is the easiest way to work the moss stitch. Just move that one out of the way. And working the moss stitch is doing simply knit 1, purl 1, knit 1 and purl 1, knit 1 and purl 1. But the pattern repeat is purl 1, knit 1 to the end of the row. So your first stitch is a knit 1, and then you do a purl 1, knit 1 to the end of the row. So just have a look how we're doing here. There we go. And you end with a knit 1. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. There's 15 stitches on here. I've forgotten how many of the stitches are on there for a moment. But that's the one row repeat. So if you missed it, let's do it again, shall we? So you always start with a knit 1. Always seems to always start with a knit 1. And then you do your pattern repeat of purl 1, knit 1 to the end of the row. And there we are. Always end with a knit 1. You always start with a knit 1, end with a knit 1, and then when you turn, start with a knit 1, end with a knit 1. And that makes it so much easier to remember. Right, so there we go for that one. I'll just go through the two row repeat for you now. Okay. Now, the even number, should I say, this 16 I think I've got on here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 16, yeah. 16 stitches on here. Now the trouble with this one is there's different variations on how you start it or finish this stitch. I'll just have a quick run through the both variations. Your row 1, oh, can't get over it now. It's always a knit 1, always seems to be a knit 1. Yarn forward to purl, yarn to the back to knit. That's as easy as it is this. This stitch can also be known as the seed stitch. I think that's what it's called in the US. But we call it the moss stitch here in the UK. Oops. So I'm just working row 1. And as you'll see, you're going to end with a purl 1, not a knit 1. So you start with a knit 1, but you end with a purl 1. So when you turn, ideally you would start with a purl one. Now I have seen people, or should I say I have seen patterns written for this where you would knit the first 2 stitches. There's different variations. So if you see a pattern that says knit 2, and then it would say purl 1, and then end with a knit 1 at the end. So that would be your repeat. Oops. I put it a bit over there. That's one variation that I have seen written in pattern books or on certain patterns, where as you knit the first 2 stitches, just get to the end of this row, and you see you end with a knit 1 then. And it creates these 2 bumps next to each other. And what you're doing then on this edge here, excuse me, is creating a little bit of garter edging. Right, that's this bit down here. It looks more like a garter stitch. This bit here, that actually looks like moss stitch, is because you work the first row as you would with your knit 1 and with your purl 1, and then you would turn and then start the row with a purl 1. So I'll just work row 1 and 2 again with you. So we knit 1, purl 1. This gives you a good workout with your knit 1, purl 1s. I'm not keen on these wooden needles. I only use them for the videos because they're easy to work with on over a table. That's what I meant to say there. They're easy to work with when you're over a table. There you go. So as you saw then, I ended with a purl 1. I turn, and what I do when it's an even number is I just purl the first one and just keep the pattern going. Purl the first one and then knit and purl across the row. And the last stitch, you should actually have end with a knit 1. There you go. So you end with a knit 1, and then you would start with a knit 1. And so that is the moss stitch. There was one other thing I was going to show you. Reading and knitting. That was something else I was going to show you. I'll just work a few stitches. What if you're knitting away and your phone rings, or there's someone at the door and you put your knitting down? Oh, I'm going to have to answer the door. You put it down and you walk away, and then of course a few minutes later you come back, you pick it up, and it's like, what was my next stitch? What do I do now? Well, if you're holding the knitting needles this way around, this yarn is on the wrong side. Straight away you know that's wrong, because if you just started knitting that way, you're going to have 2 rows over here to this one, and you're going to have a big hole. So the yarn is always coming from the right needle, so it'll be on this side. And then what stitch is next? Well, the clue is in looking at the stitches. Let's bring another needle in here. If you see a V, that is a knit stitch. And if you see a scarf over it or a collar around it, that is a purl stitch. And you want to work the opposite to what you see from the row below. Excuse me. So that is a knit. So you would want to work a purl. The next one is a purl. So you would work a knit. Just in case you forget what you're doing. So you see this one's got a collar around it, so it's a knit. This one's a V, stretching it out here. That's got a V there, so it's a purl. And that's just a little way of learning to read your knitting without panicking over what do I do next? What stitch did I leave it on? Okay, I just wanted to finish with that. So I hope you like this video. That is the moth stitch in an odd number and an even number. So thank you for watching, and until next time here on Marks Makes Stitches, bye.